Hello, my friends. Welcome to another week. I can hardly believe a week has flown by already. This is your energy channeled update for this week, April 29th through May 5th. And I just want to start off by saying, wow. Last week was really something. I talked a lot about the Mars and Pluto opposition, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm an Aries ruled by Mars, but wow, that was really something. I felt a little unhinged for a couple days. I don't know about you. I'd be curious to hear how the week was for you. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, that was a little wild. And when I channeled last week, I talked a lot about disruption. It seemed like this was the energy and information that was coming through. And if you missed it, it was pretty hilarious of a video, although I can laugh more now than I did then, as I spill a entire glass of really cold water all over me as my guides were saying the theme is disruption, and disruption that causes us to shift out of how we would normally process and normally do things. And so this had so much meaning for me. It's funny because I went back and watched the video, and at about 17 minutes you can see me pick up my glass of water and move it. Never took a drink. I've never done anything like this ever. But I picked up my glass of water, moved it, and then at about 24 minutes, 25 minutes, I spilled it everywhere. It was so cold. It was quite the experience. But what was interesting and what the realization I had afterwards was that this is my seventh video now of recording this, and it has not been easy for me. I can remember my first video doing this. Afterwards, I was so nervous. I was in my head, channeling in this form is new for me. I'm more used to it in client sessions where it's just an obvious container, but this just felt so open and unexpected. And I was in my head, and I was thinking to myself, what if I pause too long? What if nobody connects with me? All of these things that came up, and there was this rigidity about me. And then last week, I kind of spilled an entire glass of cold water and just kept on going. And I was proud afterwards, and it was funny because my face in the video where my jaw drops, where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they just said disruption." They did. They literally was like, "Now there's your disruption. Now how are you gonna behave? How are you gonna act?" And it was not what I would have preferred to happen, but at the same time, I was grateful it did because it allowed me to self-reflect on exactly how far I've come and how much I've relaxed into trusting the process and becoming more at ease. That said, over these 7 weeks and then some, I've also been doing a lot of time privately trance channeling. And this has been a very powerful journey that has really awakened so many. I'm searching for the words because it's just been incredible. So, next week, when I do my live channeling, I'm going to switch it up as I'm feeling the urge now, as I've grown, to start doing, instead of the channeling I normally do, to do trance channeling. If you're not familiar with this, basically what this means is my consciousness is more reseated as the energy of high frequency wants to speak through me. Therefore, with this, one thing is I don't really know what's being said. So there's a level of releasing control that I've been working in this process. So that will be interesting. Because as I said, I am in a relaxed, very deep state of connectedness. And so what comes through, I'm not really exactly aware of what that is. So I won't be able to like recap at the end of the video much of that portion, but it'll be exciting for me to go back and listen and see kind of what came through. So I wanted to give that little update. Okay, enough updates and story time. Let's kind of get into it. So this week, there's not too much, but a few things I do want to talk about before I dive into the channeled portion of this video. And if you're just tuning in and this is your first time here, my name is Cassandra DeAnn. I'm a certified galactic astrologer and human design reader, Akashic Records reader, and galactic channeler. So when I'm sharing these energy updates, these are kind of all the little flavors I like to kind of mix into things. So I'm going to start off by talking about some of this from a human design perspective, an astrology perspective, and then I'll kind of dive into the channeling portion of the video. That said, I want to just say that a lot of what I'm going to talk about, actually not a lot, some of the energies I talked about last week, I'm going to be talking about lightly this week because, for one, the sun is going to kind of still be in that gate 24, which we talked a lot last week about the disruption and the repetitive cycles and, how things can come along to cause us to have sudden bolts or drops in focus, to think differently, shift perspectives and changes. And this is gate 24. So if you want to go back and listen to that video, I talk a lot about that gate in that video. So I'm not going to cover too much of that this week and that in what I'm sharing with you today. Also, we talked about Pluto, and I did bring up gate 41. So also I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. So if you wanted to go back and listen to that video, you can. I'll lightly mention it again when I share what I'm about to cover. And I always like to say, if you're not very familiar with human design, that does not in any way reflect what you're able to kind of absorb from this video, as I'm going to go into it and talk about it, as these energies will influence what we are experiencing collectively. So as I mentioned, the sun is going to kind of stay in gate 24 through, I believe, Saturday. So you can go and check that out. The only other thing I wanted to briefly touch on this week is that on May 4th, which is Sunday, Pluto will be going retrograde and will be in retrograde until October 13th. So during this time span, Pluto will end up in around 1 degrees or so of Aquarius. So basically what I want to mention is this, is last week I talked about gate 41. So when we're looking at a retrograde, basically the planet's energy, which is why I want to talk about I talk about Pluto a lot, actually. Pluto's pretty significant. And I guess in my astrology chart, for those who know astrology, I have Pluto on my ascendant. So maybe that's why I talk about Pluto so much. I don't know. Food for thought. Anyways, but this is a planet of death, rebirth, transformation, sexuality, but also ultimately Pluto is a place in which its energy is wanting to bring self-empowerment, bringing power to, personal power of sorts. And so the transformations that Pluto brings are often things that require us to really get real with ourselves, to confront those darker aspects or shadow aspects of ourselves, to dig out of the subconscious what we really don't want to see or talk about or address. for the purpose of transformation and evolution. So anytime you have an energy like this retrograding, a retrograde, you can kind of look at it as, you're like, okay, we've done the lesson. Now we're going back to review. We're going back through. Did you learn? Did you get, there might be a test at the end. Did you pass? Did you get the message of what Pluto was wanting to share with you? And so right now, Pluto is in gate 41, which I talked about last week, and I'll briefly touch on. It's going to stay there a while and won't shift out of this gate until it gets to about 2 degrees of Aquarius, and then it will move back into gate 60, which is limitation. So let's talk a little bit about what this means. We can look at this as last week when we talked about gate 41. I talked about this being a very creative energy. It's an energy in which it wants to come up with new solutions and creative motion forward. It's a energy that when things feel restricted or decreased or limited, that it can take a situation and say, okay, what is the way through? How can we move past? And it can come up with creative solutions. Now, where there's some balance in this energy is we have to be mindful of not going too far into like that Neptune like quality of trying to escape or to be in that fantasy illusion that kind of stunts us, you could say, from forward motion, where we're just like, okay, I'm just going to stay in my own fantasy land. It's more cozy in here. I like this better, versus saying, okay, this is what I want to experience and how can I navigate this? There's also a level with this energy in which you can say there's a little bit of a detachment of expectation or being mindful of, once again, not going too over the top with that elusive quality, like I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and be a millionaire and I'm going to be transported into Paris and I'm going to have like all of these things and 5 cats. I like cats, that where you can instead say, okay, yes, I am the co-creator of my reality. I can manifest anything is possible. What steps can I take, to start moving forward, to aligning my energy to pull in the proper energy? So there is a bit of a mindfulness to that frequency. And so the shadow aspect of this 41 can either be not addressing things, staying in a state of illusion, that can be some of the energy there. Now, when we look at gate 60, which is where we're going back to, which is limitation. So here, the shadow expression of this can be an energy in which you can kind of, on a repressive side, equally not choose to move forward, not look into plans of, okay, what sort of structures or things that I can do or ways of being that could help me create forward motion into where I want to go. Or the reactive aspect of this can be hyperfixation on control and rigidity. It's like it has to look like this. It has to be like this. I have to follow these steps. I have to check off these boxes. I can't do this before that. All of the dogmatic programming that we can put on ourselves, which is honestly where I tend to go. So that's been a journey, that I've worked through. So this will be fun. But when we look at these two energies together, the 41 wants the creative solution. It wants to move forward. It wants you to tune into your heart. It wants you to feel excited. It wants you to envision yourself there. It wants all of these things. But also with the 60, it's like, okay, That's great. Yes, this is something new. This is something you might not know how to get there. You might not know right in this moment the clear steps forward. But what are some of the steps we can take now to start this process and have grace and patience as we move forward into helping us get to where we want to be? Okay, so that would be how I would summarize the next few months as Pluto is retrograding, looking at your life and allowing the dream, allowing, once again, Pluto is that personal empowerment, allowing those moments to say, yes, I want to be this person. Yes, I want to do this thing. Yes, I want to have this connection, and be willing to flow with the universe as co-creator, and not become too fixated in your expectations, which would be that gate of 41. And instead feel into it, embrace, hold the dream, cradle it, nurture it, water it daily. Don't overwater it and saturate it and drown it or avoid it and, let the soil go dry and cracked because, oh, well, that'll never happen. It's this balance to bring forth light structure and momentum forward to creating those things that you want to experience. Okay, so that's enough of that. I'm going to stop there and move into the galactic channeled portion of this energy update. So if you will take a moment, if you can, close your eyes. Man, this week has been a lot easier when I don't have cold water running all down me like last week. Oh my gosh. I won't forget that for a while. I'm trying to light my Palo. I like it. It helps. I know it's just an unnecessary thing, but I like it. It just helps me shift gears into a different frequency. So I just invite you to close your eyes if you can. I mean, any excuse, like I said, to just take time to breathe and relax into where we are. Maybe you had a rough week last week. Maybe, a lot came up like it did for me. Just hold yourself right now. Maybe give yourself a piece of positive affirmation. Look at how far you've come. I'm proud of you for getting through that, for being through that, whatever it is. Just resting into your body. And I'm going to take a moment now and call in any high vibrational beings of love and light, galactic connections who wish to come forward and share messages that are helpful for the week ahead, the time ahead in which we are. I'm feeling a collective energy, very angelic like coming through. I'm just tuning into their frequency. I'm being told their energy is that of what can simply be understood as the angelic realm. This is a collective frequency. I'm just feeling it. I'm not feeling there's any particular angelic being specific. It's just a collective. Now I'm hearing we are here. We are watching as you are moving closer and closer to your most aligned expression, both collectively and individually. We see the ways in which you are concerned for that of your family, friends, those whom you surround yourself with. We would say that while there is great division, you are not alone. And we would say the best work in which you can do to best support you during this time is to return to the self. I feel like there's an energy frequency I'm feeling with this that's coming through that is there's an essence of wanting. I just feel like and I feel like this has come up once before. It's this energy of really wanting there to be a balance between feeling the possibility and the big vision, which I know they've talked about before, feeling like many people are holding a big vision, and also within the detachment of the manifestation of your desire. That while you are in the place in which you are, and you may not feel like you can see it, that you are exactly where you are meant to be. And that there is so much focused energy right now on this concept where this is a time in which of great awakening. This is a time in which there are big, big, big dreams. This is a time in which there are big shifts. And this focus, especially they're reminding me of the energy of, Pluto retrograding. And this is a culmination of all of the work that has been transpiring preceding this, is what I'm hearing. And that's one thing I know we can look at it from an astrology perspective and say, yes, Pluto has been in Capricorn, and those who have cardinal placements like Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, have really been through it, and it's significant, but it goes beyond that. And I feel like this is where I appreciate the human design perspective, because, we can look at this as energy in which it's not random. The plot is thickening, the storyline is building. And so, Pluto for quite some time has been in this energy of 60. And I'd have to go back and double check. I think prior to that, it might have been, yeah, I'm not going to say because I'd have to double check. But it's this energy in which we are being invited to dream and then balance what that looks like. And I think that there is a level of understanding in which you can feel into or trust the process that you are co-creating with the divine, but also you are a powerful creator in and of yourself. So I think this is where we're balancing the magic. We're looking at it from a perspective of, yes, you can have that big thing, but also appreciating the journey. I feel like this week, there's a lot of energy I'm feeling of reflection within your desire, reflection within, are you flowing? Are you striving? Are you over exerting yourself? And where are your beliefs? Do you believe you can have what you want? All of these things. And I feel like what I'm hearing them say is, you may feel like this is a story that's been told. You may feel like this is random, yet it is not. This is just the beginning. This is the beginning of a new book, a new beginning in which you are closing out chapters in which so many of you have lived in a frequency of doubt, of distrust, of limitation. You are going to see things shift in the reality around you of what those around you experience, and seeing one by one people start popping off more and more into sudden, like, oh my gosh, like, I wanted this thing. I didn't know it was gonna how it was gonna happen. I just trusted the process. Like, I did this, or I flowed with that, and oh my gosh, here I am. This shock of, oh my gosh, like, that things are going to start coming into reality that are beyond topics of typical manifestation in which we've been hearing of, beyond realms of what we have known to be more likely our reality, and into more, I keep hearing quantum, into quantum. Like, it's just a whole new level of powerful creative capability in which we're moving into. I'm just feeling into this. I'm seeing a lot of gold rays. So it's interesting because it definitely has this energy has a very divine, um, angelic like presence, but also there is a divine masculine aspect to it, meaning that there is a trust, but there is also inspired action. So I feel like this week, and this could be also because there is, I believe, a fair amount of energies, that is still hanging out in Aries, which is where we kind of had that fire and beginning and initiation. So this, feels like that for many, there will be an aspect in which you are really beginning to understand your desires and those inspired steps to create things that probably seem almost impossible. Okay, that is what I'm feeling. Is there anything else you would like to share? Not at this time. Thank you. Thank you so much to this angelic presence, guidance for the ways in which we're moving forward. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. And thank you so much for watching. I just want to take a moment to mention that I have a couple offerings for the month of May, just limited for May, that I'm sharing. One is that because of all the sudden changes, I have been offering an April activation session for a short period. These have been incredibly powerful sessions, and so much has come through that I feel inclined to continue this offering through the end of May, although now it's simply just called Akashic Activation Session. So if this is something you're interested in, I'll leave the link in the description and I'll pin a comment below for you to have access to this. Also, while I do have my full reading of Discovery, which covers galactic astrology, and I, can touch into human design, I have decided for May to also offer a shorter session for those who are just interested in taking that first step and unlocking their soul's origins, because this is so essential and so helpful and relevant to understanding how you can really come into your own personal power, your fullest expression, to embody who you are. So it's a powerful session in which so much can be unlocked and discovered to really help you thrive and where you are now. And so these are going to be, as I mentioned, my Akashic, galactic, soul origin readings. We will lightly look at your galactic astrology chart in these readings, and as they help to unlock your origins. So if you're interested in either of these, please check those out. Also, I have a free guide you can download. I can leave the link for, on unlocking your magic. As we talked in this, as I talked, I say we, I guess it's because I'm channeling. So I don't know. But as I talked a lot in this video about like magic, like forms of magic, bringing something incredible, into reality. This particular PDF I offered a few weeks ago, and I feel inclined to mention it again. So if you're interested in that, it's free. Check it out. If not, that's okay. But thank you so much for watching. I would love, if this is your first time here, welcome. Please like, subscribe, come back. I do these channelings every week on Tuesdays, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Until next time, bye.